just filling you in on VeritasPay and a few of the things that we do. So who are we? We're a Philippine software development firm. We have about 35 people here in Pasig. The majority of them are software developers with a real focus on mobile payment solutions. A little bit different because when you look at mobile payment and look at where it's going, everybody talks about e-commerce. And there's a gap missing between the e-commerce and the card present. So what we've done is we've specialized in a very narrow area of payment. It's probably really boring for most of you, but it's critical to the components of payment as we move forward. So over the past 2.5 years or so, we focused solely on EMV, mobile, and looking at the platform that operates truly at the foundation of payment with a focus on the gap between banking and fintech. A lot of the fintech companies have a challenge when it comes to getting into the banking platform. Well, for us, what we did was we recognized earlier on that there's a home for us in there. So we want to take care of everything and deliver a true point-to-point encryption company. That means from the moment that payment is touched till it gets approved and brought back to us, we'll have total control of it. We take care of all the PCI compliance certifications, all the risk mitigating tools. You know, Jeb, it was really interesting. He was showing us stuff that's going on in the internet. We take care of all the security on those. Plus we have the payment expertise. So for our fintech clients, we remove all the costs of certification. We provide the payment expertise and infrastructure for them. And we allow our clients to focus on the things that they do. So a little bit about me. I started in the bank in 1976. I was 17 years old. That was the height of financial technology at the time. Some of you may or may not recognize it, but that's an IBM wide carriage posting machine. The operators of those machines were truly fascinating. In one sweep, they'd update the bank's GL, the person's statement, all the checks that came through in the branch, the deposits, the withdrawals. And at the end of the day, they'd hit a button and it'd come to zero, and then everybody can go home. I was 17 years old. They wouldn't let me touch it. I was the human switch. I separated the checks. So 40 years later, I'm still in the switching business, but the advances back then were slow and easy. The financial technology was driven by the banks themselves and a few of the key players, IBM, NCR, and everybody kind of worked together and everything kind of plodded along, kind of showed that banks can adapt. I still think they can. I still think that there's a great market for banks as we go along, for me being a banker. The difference is at the speed of change that is going on today. As shown today, the new advances that we see are hourly. Individuals, small groups here, people in their garage, people in their basement, all developing new things, and they're competing against the banks. And then the banks have to compete against global telecommunication companies like Paymaya and Smart and Globe, and they have client bases that dwarf the banks. So there is a true advantage to the telcos as we move along in our fintech world, and the result, banking is changing. All you have to do is, if any of you had the opportunity to spend a little bit of time in China of late, I love going there now. We have a bunch of clients there. We work with them. I don't have to pay for anything. In fact, I can't pay for anything. I can't book a taxi. I can't flag a taxi down on the street. I can't book an airline. I can't book a train. Tough for me to pay for a meal. Everybody pays with their WeChat Pay or Alipay or QQ Pay. In China, the banks have lost control of a few things. The fintech companies now control the transactions. They are taking massive chunks out of the personal loan market, but most importantly, the banks are losing their brands in China. And they'll help in elsewhere unless the banks jump in and embrace everybody what they're doing in the room and start competing and partnering with the fintechs that we have here. And I think FinTech Incorporated from the Voyager Group today was a prime example. The banks are cooperating with the fintechs to be able to still stay involved. It's tough for the banks. I was there. I was in the banking system for 30-some years. Product cycle in a bank, fairly slow. Well, first you have to imagine it. You have to have someone who's going to champion it, and then they're going to go into the strategic plan, and if it passes there, it might go into budgeting, and if it goes into budgeting and gets approved for the next year, if you're lucky, you get into the IT queue, and then maybe it's 2 years down the road. They have to compete against the hundreds or thousands of startups that we see every day. I was at the Thailand payment show just a few weeks ago. Sitting next to me was the vice president of product and development for one of the large banks. I was in her position 10 years ago. And I felt sorry for her because back then it was a level playing field. We were just competing against the banks. Today, everyone's chipping away at the bank's pillars. I think today we had someone talking about the pillars of the banks, and I think it was from FinTech. The banking, the loans, the deposits, the trust, the insurance, the securities. Everybody in this room in the FinTech world is jumping on those. And so the banks are having a tough time, but they still can compete. We think they can if they leverage that. They have a trusted relationship with their clients that everybody wishes to have. As soon as they start partnering with the fintechs, as they're starting to do here, and companies like us, we hope, it'll ease the integration and shorten that time before they get to market with some of the new products and services. We'll talk about these things. So we all know the phone on the left, and the payment terminal is on the right, and we see them all over the place. The two of them are very close to each other. That old phone, you'd pick it up, you'd have a direct connection to the person, wherever you called them, maybe through a simple switch from the telco. And for 30 to 35 years, this was the mainstay of communications in our world. It got fancy, and some of them you got to have 4 buttons in a hold, and you can have 2 calls at the same time. Then you can maybe add an answering machine, but that was really about it. The phone did one thing and one thing only, allowed you to make phone calls. Payment, on the other hand, has done the same thing for the last 30 years. Those devices, and you see them all over the place, do exactly the same thing in payment. They take a payment, they process it through a switch or two, get to the acquirer of the issuer of the card, come back and approve it. Some of them maybe add a loyalty program on it, maybe a few other bells and whistles, but for the most part, it's done the same thing for the last 30 years. Where's it going? It's going by the way of the smartphone. So, I left mine over there. But I have a Samsung S8. Android, I guess 95% of the people here have an Android. The smartphone compared to that black phone, light years. On that particular phone, I do my banking, I have all my apps. Now, thank you, Jeb, I now know everyone is looking at me wherever I'm going. I don't visit casinos yet. I only gamble with the stuff we do. But there's everything on there. And you're right, it rules your life. I'm more apt to forget my phone, my keys at home or my wallet at home than my phone. You're ingrained with it. And it does everything for you in your life. In the new world of payment, it's going to a smart point of sale. Now, and the relevance I'm going to talk about later on is just that. This one here, as you see it on there, thanks, Mike, for bringing it in, from a company called PAX. That was delivered to us last Friday. And if you all know, that's right in the middle of Chinese New Year. The importance of them getting that device to us for one of our clients here to get it certified and integrated was so important that we got it here in the middle of Chinese New Year. Just an added benefit, I got to bring it home for you today. So, dual SIM Android can run any application that you can download, goes through a private setup which we control, but you can add any application on it, a restaurant application, any fintech application. So with this, if you want to run Visa, MasterCard, JCB, American Express, China Union Pay, Paymaya QR code, Globe QR code, pick one, Apple Pay, Samsung Pay, BankNet, Beat, we're certified Beat acquirer, or anything closed loop, like we were just doing with Tag. All can be run on this one terminal. What happens at the consumer point of view, right now if you look at the tills, you see 1, 2, 3 QR codes. In the back, you're going to see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 terminals. There's no place for people to do their work or for the consumer to have a good experience that the merchant wants them to. So this is the way the world will be going. We deal with 4 of the 6 largest manufacturers in the world of these new devices. They tell us within 3 to 5 years, only between 5 and 10% of the production will be these types of devices, simply because that's the way the world's going. So when you see all these things, and just next time you use it, think of the old black phone and realize that this is kind of where the world's going to. And what does it mean to everybody? Well, that all-in-one allows now the FinTech to integrate very simply into our platform, and we're already certified into the bank platform. More importantly, payments split between 2 things. The settlement that the banks handle, and always will, it's keeping your money safe, and the message or the data. The data ownership in this case for this particular device, which is brought in for one of our clients who's going to be putting it around the country, having control and owning that data that first touches that device is key and critical to their overall business model. With that little device that I was showing you, no chance of it happening. With the new smart devices, now we can start adding all the FinTech stuff. So it's future-proof. If this client or this bank decides to go with a new company that Jeb approves, easily done. We download it, put the app on, and they're ready to go. Real simple integration. When we took this route, we did it with a little bit of apprehension because we knew no one was really going there. And we knew we had to step out in front and build everything and put it out there before you'd be able to use it. So with that, we are fortunate. 4 of the 6 largest manufacturers of smart POS in the world come here to the Philippines to get certified and integrated through our platform. As I said, within next few years, the majority of the devices you use your card or QR code on will be a device similar to that, or smaller. So we developed this platform from inception. And we really built it for acquirers and banks, large enterprises, and FinTech. We had to support some really quick and efficient integrations because in our world right now, you can't wait 2 years for a new product. You can't wait. A standard device to certify, like that little one over there, is a year plus. Could cost you tens or up to $100,000. And that's why you don't see a lot of new devices in the marketplace. So we switch that around. We'll bring a device to market for a client, integration and certification in 10 to 15 weeks. We're really fortunate. We work with a number of acquirers, but Paymaya is, we really work close together. For one client, within 4 months, there was a concept, and then from the concept, they chose a device. The device was certified, integrated, and went on board for them, this one right here, within 4 months. In the payment world, unheard of. You're looking, you're saying, oh, it looks like a little device. This device really is integrated into our platform. Our platform is integrated into their enterprise. We expose an API and deliver them the whole mobile payment platform. For this client, they're very excited about it because now they can use one application to run all their payment through their whole company, and then they can direct the payment to where they want it to go. So we switch the transaction for them. The other important piece is the same technical infrastructure they use for their online services, which is quite large, they will now be able to use it offline at the point of purchase in the new stores that they have coming up. So it really bridges the gap and allows them to have just one application, runs everything either online or offline. And we take care of all the certifications with partners like PayMaya for that. So what does it do? Our clients leap directly onto a certified platform that was built specifically for mobile. Maybe it's a little boring for everybody, but our platform really does a whole bunch of things. It's a universal payment translator. So for anybody who wants to do payment offline or in person, we've integrated a terminal management platform, a merchant management platform. We have payment and fintech gateways that are operating right now today. We have our own team that does ISO integration with banks, and we provide that to you all in one unified API. So from the client point of view, very easy to integrate. We have multiple levels of merchants. Avon downstairs, or is it in the other building that I went to in Air this morning, a big conference. So if you think of Avon and their global setup on how many merchants they have or how many territories, when we were developing the logic for our platform, we thought if we could ever get Avon, we'd better have the platform for them to use, and that's what we built. That same merchant can have multiple terminals, one beside each other, and we can manage those all. All of it specifically built for mobile, because what the manufacturers in China told us, and all the big manufacturers are in China, no doubt, they said they're going mobile. And we have a little booth outside, and if you step there, you'll see we have a whole assortment, right from this one in my pocket, which was $60 about, to that one, which is a little bit more expensive, but not so much so. That, again, that same platform you use online can now be migrated to your point of sale offline. As an example, I wanted to show you a real life example. So this is a fintech company called Smart Card Marketing Systems in North America. They have multiple fintech platforms. AxePay, which is their cross-border RMB. They have one of two major licenses to do direct cross-border RMB for any country in the world. We're fronting the whole platform for them. They have a cryptocurrency via POS. I'll show you next slide. Generosity, which is a loyalty platform. We've white labeled them. Our mobile platform articulates a project management platform. They have M-Tickets, which is an event managing program. Richard, I'm going to have to show that one to you. It's a really cool all-in-one. Data Tracks does bus and tour ticketing, and we're working with people here to offer. We brought in a device, and we're certifying it that allow people to book online and then validate the ticket offline and here in one of the buses or taxis or UV Express. My Travel is an onboard menu, and Rainmakers is a fintech. Interesting thing about this company, we thought they were pretty cool. So we took a major position in them. We own about 25% of them. They're publicly listed, just to let you know. And they are really our marketing arm for the world. Because at our heart, we're just a software development company that happens to do kind of cool things, but we're not marketers. So we went out and worked with SmartCard. Another example, I told you about an online Bitcoin marketplace. So this is a Swiss company who has a online marketplace, predominantly Bitcoin purchases for the marketplace, but they needed to step out and take Visa and MasterCard. They came to us. We have the device down there. I think Kim has a demo app of it. We developed an integration for the client, and we delivered the dynamic QR of the private and public keys to complete that Bitcoin purchase from an online or an offline purchase. The implementation is in our queue. I think they're flying in next week. We're going to do some final negotiations, but it looks like this, guys. Yeah, it's really simple. Put in an amount, $10. We tap the card. They asked us to put in a signature. Not sure why, but they did. Comes out. We spit out the receipt. And the receipt right there has the keys. You can stop the video. The keys right there are generated. Those are the public and private QR codes in order to complete that Bitcoin purchase. So now what we've done is we've taken everything we've done in a very simple API and allowed the Bitcoin world to now utilize a traditional walk-in marketplace to make an offline purchase at a merchant. So, Richard, you asked, is it the end of banking or is it just the start? I'm a banker. I've been a banker since 1976. No, it's just the start. I think that, we have the infrastructure, the certifications, and the expertise to deliver that universal payment translator for our FinTech clients so they can integrate into the traditional payment network. But more importantly, we enable our banking and acquiring clients to utilize our whole white label platform so they don't miss out on the opportunities that are shown here today and elsewhere in the world. Each of those, the banks and the FinTech, really do have a reliance on each other, and if they can integrate and cooperate more easily, then we'll all win. And that's the position we've taken, is we're that middleware between FinTech and banking, and we hope to do more in the near future. So thank you, Richard, for the time. Appreciate it. Thank you.